Oh, goodness. Good morning and happy Saturday, everybody. I am enjoying my garden space here. Let me make sure that all this stuff is off so I can actually see you. Awesome. Hey, good morning and happy Saturday. I am Mary from Mary's Heirloom Seeds, and I try to go live on YouTube once a week. My normal YouTube live chats are Thursday at 5 p.m. Central Time, but it's really hot here in East Texas. So I started going live on Saturday mornings at 9 a.m. Central Time during the summertime. So if you are joining me, please hit the thumbs up and subscribe to my channel and let me know you're here. Saturday mornings are a lot easier for some people, which is good for me too. So I'm out in the garden and I've already done a lot of work in my garden. If you can see me, or if you can't see me, or if the sound is bad, please let me know during the video, because I can't see all of it and I can't hear all of it. So hey Caitlin, good morning. Thanks for joining me. Whew. So today's topic is the Patty Pan Squash Challenge update, but I also am going to encourage you to ask your questions. Every week, I try to answer as many questions as possible, and sometimes I add my own 2 cents, and I will bring up questions that customers have asked me online in an email, Facebook, Instagram, all that good stuff. So if you are just joining me for the first time, welcome, and for those of you that join me regularly, welcome back. Okay, so first, I wanted to share with you a couple of events that I have coming up that I don't sponsor them, but I will be either attending or speaking. The Kaufman County Master Gardeners is having 2 events upcoming. The first one is the Gardeners Gather, and that is in August. It's $20 for that, and I will be there. I'm not teaching that one, and they're actually talking specifically about how to plan your fall garden, and it's going to be a hands-on tutorial. I'm going, and I'm going to bring some free seeds for people that attend. And then September 8th, which is a Monday, I'm going to be speaking at the Kaufman County Master Gardeners event in Kaufman, and that topic will be fall planting. So we're kind of getting ahead of ourselves with planning it, but then I'm going to talk more about the specifics about fall planting. So last week I went live on my back patio, and because it was raining, I was super excited. Definitely not going to complain about rain. And so, hey Jane, good morning. I wasn't able to show you my garden, and then I go live every Wednesday on Facebook. So if you don't follow me on Facebook, I highly recommend it. In the description section of this video, you'll find a link to my comprehensive planting guide, my fall seed collection, and then my different social media outlets like Instagram and Facebook. The cool thing about the Facebook lives are I get to share links with you about the specific seed that I'm discussing, and then I do a giveaway with all the seeds that I discussed during the live chat. But someone asked me if I would go live in my garden, and I said, well, most of the time my YouTube live chats are in my garden. So you can see here behind me, the reason I'm in front of this beautiful lush plant is, plants, multiple. This is one of the Patty Pan squash beds that I planted. So I planted, if you're not familiar with the Patty Pan Squash Challenge, it started from my Facebook live chat where I was discussing different types of squash. And one of my customers said that they had never eaten squash. And I was shocked. So I encouraged everyone to plant Patty Pan squash, which on my website you'll find it's called scallop squash. It's available in a white, a yellow, a green tint, and a green and yellow. It's called cream and green. And so the reason I suggested that people grow this one, hey Esther's daughter, thanks for joining us, is because it is fast maturing. If you have trouble with squash bugs or squash vine borers, this is a good one to get you started, because you can start harvesting I have harvested in as few as 42 days in the past. this is generally a 45 to 50 days from seed to harvest. So I planted these seeds on July 1st. So that means today is 40 days. We are at 40 days from seed to not harvest yet, but I posted on Facebook, and I'll maybe get a little close up. I'll pull my camera out and show you the other side. I already have male and female flowers. So if you don't know the difference, squash plants produce male and female flowers. The male flower is just a stem and a flower. The female blossom has a much shorter stem, and then it has the immature fruit, and then it has the blossom, the flower. So if you don't have pollination, that small immature baby fruit will either fall off and die, or it will rot on the plant and die because it wasn't pollinated. So you need bees, you need pollinators in your garden for the best possible pollination. You can hand pollinate as well, that's totally fine. But right now, my immature fruits have flowers, but they haven't opened yet. So they have not, from what I can see, they have not been pollinated yet. So if you're just joining me, hit the thumbs up and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. I'm going to briefly talk about the patty pan squash or scallop squash that I challenged everyone to grow. And then I also encourage you to ask me your questions. Do you have questions about the garden? Do you have questions about fall gardening? Do you have questions about seeds? It is nice and hot out here in East Texas. Esther's daughter says no bees here. Then I highly recommend that you plant for pollinators. If you probably already have, maybe you have, maybe you haven't. And sometimes it's just a situation where you live in an area that is heavily sprayed or heavily treated. And unfortunately, that is an issue that some people will have where they will not have adequate pollinators in their garden. On that note, every January at Mary's Heirloom Seeds, we celebrate Plant for Pollinators Month. And that's not necessarily because people are actually planting seeds for pollinators. Hey, Not For Nothing Homestead, thanks for joining me. It's because a lot of times in January, we are starting to plan our gardens. It's the start of the busy month for us. Pretty much January through April is like super rush. People are rushing to buy their seeds to get their garden planted or planned. Some people are starting their seeds in January, so it totally depends on your situation and your region, especially if you're like in Florida, where you're probably starting your garden more like September, October, November, and it's like the bulk of your garden you're starting right then and there. But the purpose of Plant for Pollinators Month is to encourage people to plant for pollinators as well as food for themselves. So for example, in this garden bed, I have patty pan squash, I have purple beans, I have radish, and then I've got pollinator friendly on the back side of that, and that is actually next to it. I've got basil that I let go to seed, and then now we've got tons of pollinators. This year I noticed a massive increase in bumblebees in my garden. So I'm loving that we have so many bumblebees in the garden right now. And if you're watching the replay, you can always check this out at a later time. The cool thing about YouTube is my videos can be watched at a later time if you miss it. Facebook, on the other hand, has been deleting my videos after 30 days. So I will be slowly uploading them as I go so that they don't get lost in the shuffle. So anyway, so back on the topic of pollinators, it's really important to plant for pollinators as well as for food. So like I said, I've got basil on this side, and instead of removing the flowers when it bolts, because it got hot and it's older, I let a couple of plants go to seed so that we've got, they're attracting pollinators. And I've got other pollinator friendly plants. We've got marigolds, sunflowers, more marigolds, more flowers over here. I think those are bachelor buttons in the back. And then we've got the back side here. We had Plains Coreopsis and Black-Eyed Susans that were all along the back fence. They've since died off, and then they'll come back again for fall. So we go a little pollinator crazy, if you want to call it that. Jane says, I lost my zucchini and yellow squash to squash bugs, but my patty pans are still producing. Yeah, they're pretty resilient. I've got tromboncino back there that isn't affected by the squash bugs, which is a huge plus. It can be. I'm not saying it's squash bug proof or squash vine borer proof, but it's been more hardy than others. Alrighty, so the main topic today is the patty pan squash challenge. Now, I didn't do any kind of, Caitlin says the bumblebees are loving your salvia. Oh yes, definitely. They love mine too. I didn't do any type of structured challenge like I do every year. I announce a different gardening challenge every year, and it comes with borage is a good one too. I've got borage in the other garden as well. This challenge wasn't structured like check-ins and giveaways and things like that. It was more just a challenging people to grow something you haven't grown. And to be honest, every year I encourage people to grow something that they haven't grown and try something new, because you just never know what you might like if you don't try it. And that is part of the reason that my mystery grab bags are so popular. If you haven't already, I'm almost sold out of the grab bags. The first round was announced on August 1st, and the second round, which will be a smaller round, will be announced on September 1st. And in those grab bags, you get an assortment of seeds. It's going to be mostly vegetables with like a melon, flower, and herbs, so that you can try out different things. And it's fun because the seed packs themselves are labeled, so it's not a complete surprise, but what you get in your grab bag is going to be a surprise. So the seeds themselves aren't necessarily a mystery because they're labeled, but the actual grab bag and what you get will be, who knows what you get. All right, so what were some of the questions that I was asked this week? Or while I'm chatting with you guys, do you have any questions? Do you have any garden or seed related questions? I'm always happy to answer. Cheryl says, I love mine. I was supposed to wait for my daughter for us to open it together, but you couldn't wait. Well, that's okay. That sounds like fun. It's like one of my customers said it was like Christmas, so they were excited to open theirs. And one of my customers has a dog, and the dog loves to open them up and try new things. So Julianne says, I'm growing delicata, Italian Genovese. 2 of those are from you. Awesome. What do you use hyssop for if you grow it? It is a fantastic pollinator friendly plant. Some people use it as just to attract pollinators. I believe it has some medicinal benefits, but you'd have to check that out before you consume any herbs. Super important to check before you consume any herbs to make sure A, they're edible, and B, that there's no contraindications if you are taking other types of medications. Super important. All right, so the question that I had with the patty pan squash is, can I plant it right now? That was a question that I had on Facebook. And also, the round zucchini that I'm looking at here, my round zucchini all germinated. And so that is super fun. So the question I had on Facebook was, can I plant it right now? And my answer was, kind of going back to my fall planting video last week, and that would be, it depends on your frost dates. So here in East Texas, hey Asia Joe, thanks for joining us. Here in East Texas, my first frost date this year is November 12th. It's like November 12th through the 15th, depending on what you look at. Or another town over, it's November 4th. So this is just an estimate. So sometime between November 4th and November 15th. And so I have plenty of time to plant patty pan squash and round zucchini. Patty pan squash is 45 to 50 days, and round zucchini is 40 to 45 days. So plenty of time for me. But if you only have 60 days till your first frost date, you might want to focus more on cool tolerant crops. And we talked about that last week again in my last video, and those are going to be things like beets, radish, turnips, cauliflower, broccoli, kale, collards, lettuce. Hey, Julianne, thanks for joining us. So many people joining us. Thank you so much. If you haven't already, please hit the thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. So during my live chat, if you guys have any questions about seeds or gardening, please let me know. And if I can't answer your question, you can send me an email, or I will try to answer it at a later time. We talked about pollinators because we need pollinators for our zucchini. We need pollinators for a lot of things. We need them for watermelon, cucumber, so many things. Do you have the round zucchini in your store? Yes, we do. It is listed under heirloom squash and pumpkins. So if you use the drop-down menu at marysheirloomseeds.com, just scroll down and you'll find round zucchini. There's two different options. You have Ronde Denise, which is a little larger of a squash and it takes a little longer to produce, and it's more like a speckled pattern. And then you have the round zucchini, which is a darker green, and it's a faster maturing. So definitely a really good one. So anyway, that was the question that I had, was, can I plant these now? So whether it's the patty pan squash or the round zucchini, check your frost dates, figure out what your schedule's like, and then go from there. Now, I promised I would show you what some of these patty pan squash look like. So I'm going to get up here. You'll have to mind my mess because the garden is messy, and I'm okay with that right now. You can see right here, that is my project for tomorrow. There is sage and oregano in that bed, and then there's a whole mess of weeds. So I will be pulling all of those weeds tomorrow, and then I will be, what am I going to do? I'm going to trim the sage and throw it in the dehydrator because I've got a ton of it, and then we're going to go from there. All right, so let me get back here, and I'm going to switch the camera around so you can actually see what I'm doing here. All right. So these are my scallop squash. Let me show you real quick. Grow Bag City, yes I do. There you go, look at that. So as I mentioned, this is day 40, and we have some beautiful, let's see if we can catch some bumblebees in there too. We've got bumblebee butts everywhere in these blossoms. Oh yeah, Grow Bag City. I emptied some of them out, and then I'm gonna replant. So you can see I've got, I mentioned male flowers and female flowers. So, oops, I just tore that. Oops, sorry. If you can't see it, sorry. That is a male flower. And then that fruit that I mentioned is your female flower here. And you see the blossom up top hasn't opened yet. So as soon as that opens, we can get some pollination going. Jane says the almanac says first frost will be November 6th. So yep, there you go. So I always recommend people, let me show you my round zucchini. Somebody asked if when I plant my zucchini seeds first and then I topped it with cedar shavings, someone asked, it was a great question. I'm going to turn back around here. It was a great question. They asked, does that inhibit the seeds from popping up and germinating? And the answer to that was no. I was able to, let me turn you back here. As you can see, my round zucchini, I planted the seeds first, and then I watered it, and then I put my mulch down, and then I watered it again. So the cool thing about that is, by mulching well, not deep, because I want the seeds to germinate. By mulching, that keeps the moisture in the soil, which is perfect for germination. You don't want, especially this garden bed, that top layer of the soil, if I don't mulch it, the top layer is not only is it going to be hotter, critters, it's also going to dry out faster. So that's a couple of reasons why we mulch. Now, if you mulch deep, sometimes you have less weeds. I'm already looking in here and there's weeds in here. There's nothing I can do. When you mow, you get weeds that come in, or you've got weeds that come up. All of these beds were installed January of 2022. So They've been here a while. You can see there's no nursery fabric, like weed fabric below it. So I mulch the top, make sure it's watered well, and if it dries out, I risk killing my seedlings because the seed itself starts to germinate, and then if it dries out, then it can die before it even pops up. And so that's a common thing that people have with seeds. They think the seed didn't germinate when in fact it just dried out and didn't make it to the surface. And then also weed suppression is one of many benefits, besides the fact that, like I said, it won't dry out as fast or as much. So in theory, you're going to be using less water if you're mulching really well. So I'm trying a couple new things. I mentioned in my my fall video that I was trying, that was last Saturday, that I was trying a couple new things. Asia Joe says work smarter, not harder. Yep, that is the key. That is the goal. And then this time around, I'm using cedar shavings instead of store-bought mulch. So that's another new experiment. I didn't do it on all my beds, but you can see on this bed, I used it. So anyway, if you guys have any questions, let me know. Now, if I don't answer your question during my live chat, I would be more than happy to answer it if you send me an email. My email is mary@marysheirloomseeds.com, and I do try to answer your questions as quickly as possible. If you sent me an email and you didn't see a response, check your spam folder. That's super important. My Genovese, Italian, and Delicata are still producing beautifully. You're in Mexico, okay. Love your seeds. Awesome, thank you. Watering your squash now, another 102-degree day expected. So I'm pleasantly surprised here in East Texas. We have not had a day. I'm getting eaten alive by mosquitoes, and I even sprayed myself with something natural. They love my blood, apparently. Sorry, my brain just went sideways because I'm itching like crazy. One of the things that we love here is it does get hot, but we do have a long growing season. This year we haven't hit over 100 degrees. We hit 99, but we didn't hit 100. And it was 99, and with the heat index was 114. So it was definitely one of those things where I'm watering my garden really early in the morning. I'm getting out here and doing my chores really early in the morning, and then I get into the seed shop where it's air conditioned, and I work during the hottest part of the day indoors. Not for Nothing Homestead says, I've already harvested 2 tromboncino squash seeds you got from us. Awesome. So tromboncino squash, if you guys don't know, if you harvest it early, I'm trying to stay out of the sun here. If you harvest it early, you can cook it up like you would zucchini, like a summer squash. Yeah, mosquitoes are the pits. If you harvest it later on, when it starts to turn a little more tan color, it's going to look like a butternut squash, and you're going to cook it more like a butternut squash. 2 years ago, this was kind of funny. 2 years ago, I traveled from East Texas to San Diego, which is where my family is, with a tromboncino squash. It was hilarious. I got so many weird looks in the airport. I actually had to put it on the conveyor belt to go through x-ray, which was hilarious too. My mom said I shouldn't have had to because it was food, but I'm not really that worried about it, you know. And I brought it to my family for a family cookout. Every year when I go back to visit family, we do a big fish taco dinner and we put it on the grill. So we sliced it in, we cut it a couple times because it was really long. It was over 12 inches. I want to say it was 16 inches long. So we cut it a few times and then we sliced it lengthwise. So it was like almost like dill spears that you get in the can or you can do yourself. So we sliced it lengthwise. We drizzled with olive oil, salt, and pepper, and then my uncle put it on the grill with the fish. He catches fish for us, and we have a big fish taco dinner night with the family. Asia Joe says, how wonderful, love that y'all got to enjoy that. So it was super fun. That's one way you can cook it is slice it lengthwise, drizzle it with your oil of choice, salt and pepper, some garlic, and then either grill it or put it in the oven or cook it on the stove. Um, yeah, Tammy, it was kind of funny. And I'm telling you, the amount of looks I got from random people. The funny thing was when the first leg of my trip, I take a little teeny plane. So there's not a lot of people in there, and I didn't want to put it up top because there was barely anybody in there. So I put it next to me, and the stewardess said that I had to put it in a seatbelt. So I had to strap my tromboncino squash into a seatbelt on the seat. Oh gosh, my antics. What can I tell you? They don't call me a mostly feral gardener for nothing. Alrighty, everybody. So if you haven't tried the tromboncino squash, it may be too late for you if you don't have a long growing season. But if you've got another long growing season, definitely check it out. Alrighty, so it's getting warm. The mosquitoes are eating me alive, even though I sprayed myself with my natural spray. It usually works, but today, what can I tell you? They're all over me. I got big bites on the back of my arm. So I'm gonna head out into the house, get cleaned up, and well, I say the back. I'm going to pull some weeds. Then I'm gonna get back in the house and get cleaned up. If you guys have any questions, please send me an email. My email is mary@marysheirloomseeds.com, and I do answer your questions. Check out the description section below. It was so fun. I know, Tammy. We've got my comprehensive planting guide. We have a link to my fall seed collection. I didn't put it in there, but seed garlic. If you haven't purchased your seed garlic yet, I've already sold out of a couple varieties, but I do have some available now. These are pre-orders. They will be available to ship out in October as far as I know. If they are cured earlier and they are available, we will ship out in late September. So definitely check those out and get it going on. Oh yeah, that's right. Asia Joe says the August seed giveaway is going through August 14th at midnight. If you're in the US or Canada, it's free to enter. No purchase necessary. You just sign up and you're good to go. There's a bumblebee right there. Alrighty, everybody. Thank you so much for joining me out in my garden today for my live chat. If you have time to plant patty pan squash or round zucchini, I highly recommend that you do it because they are prolific producers. They are fast maturing and they're just fun to grow. It's not something you're going to be able to buy in the store usually. They are a little more tender, so they don't store as well because they're a summer squash and because they're more of a specialty item, which is probably why you don't see them in the grocery store. So I like growing fun stuff. Alrighty, everybody. Thank you so much for joining me. I am Mary at Mary's Heirloom Seeds signing off, and happy planting.